Hi, BookTube. I'm Peg, the Book Prize Addict, back today to talk about what's rapidly becoming my favorite book prize. And it's just the second year of it. First of all, I'll talk about the older prize that it's named after or coordinated with, and that's the Republic of Consciousness Prize, which has gone on in England over, I believe, over 10 years. It was started by Neil Griffiths, the author, who wanted to, in some way, award smaller presses. Now, there's he gave his talk then that smaller presses have a hard time of it. They are more willing to go out for experimental fiction or something different. They don't plan on having blockbusters, and they actually, some of the more literary fiction is done now is written by small presses. So he wants to award that. So up until last year, it was small presses in Great Britain and Ireland, etc. But last year, they started having one for U.S. and Canada. And it's run by Lori Feathers, who's big in the book critic world and a bookstore owner. And I'm putting a link to the homepage of it. Doesn't have a lot on it yet because they haven't announced their selections for this year. They'll be announced on the 24th of January. But there are many people talking about what they think or hope is going to be on it. And I want to go over just a few of those today and a little bit about it. First of all, I get most of my information, like I always have done, on the to be famous Mookse and Gripes group on Goodreads. I've explained it, but you probably know Mookse and Gripes is a person. It's Trevor Barrett, and he's run this group for years, and it's got all the very best, I would say, amateur critics, though there's some authors on it, but they talk about all the prizes, and it's so fun to see what they think, and I always read it first. Now, Trevor is having a Mookse and Gripes podcast with his friend Paul Wilson, who is also a wonderful critic and writer. And Paul is going to be a judge on this upcoming Republic of Consciousness for USA and Canada. And they're being a lot more transparent with how they do it. In fact, Paul has written quite a bit about it. And the other day, he has an Instagram account. He pictured a picture of like 30 books and said something about, these are the wonderful books we read for the prize. And people are wondering, are those the actual books? Which it's not giving anything away to show what was submitted. And they have all these rules, only one per press, etc. And the press can't make over so much money a year. Anyway, so it's really opening up visibility for a lot of the small presses that I think that are becoming more and more prevalent, even here in the U.S. and in Canada. So, okay, with that, I'm going to talk about the just one book here, which I just finished, and it's The Landscapes by Christine Lai, a debut for her. And I'm trying to think of how to talk about this book because it's what they call a many-layered book. She does a wonderful job of layering them, but I'm not sure how I can explain that. So I'm going to break it into two different categories, you might say, that were important and stood out for me. And the first one is the use of art in this book. It mentions a lot of artists, and they become a part of the story. And one in particular they talk about and who appears is William Turner, the early 19th century English watercolorist most. And actually there's things about his office, and he becomes very prevalent in it, but it also, this and other artists, it gives you a chance to look up the pictures they've painted while they're talking about it. And from what I've read, a lot of readers are doing it that way to get more of an atmosphere of the place. And so I'm going to just show you, in case you're not really familiar with Turner, a couple of things so you can kind of get his style, and you can see why the book is named Landscapes. Okay, the first one, there was this is called A View of a fortress in Germany overlooking the Rhine and another river. And this was actually a huge fortress, very, very old. It was destroyed by Napoleon's army and has since been rebuilt. Here's a picture. It's up on a hill overlooking these two rivers. Here's a picture of it rebuilt. It's just like building up on a hill. Now, here's the picture. Turner painted many pictures of it, but he refused to paint the new one. He has here a picture of the old wreck of the fortress that was there, and he'd go up and go through it. He was very interested in buildings that had been abandoned and became wrecks, and a lot of the feeling is on that. In fact, they even gave a word, I guess it's ruin, called Ruinlust, which is the melancholy beauty of abandoned buildings. And I think that's been in literature a lot lately. And in fact, they have people that go through old buildings in cities and photograph them. And anyway, but there is a feeling about old abandoned buildings. So anyway, he kept painting this one many times, the ruins in it. Anyway, here's just for a little more of the flavor. Here's his picture of Rome, modern Rome, as he calls it. You can see again where landscape comes in and just the misty mood of the whole thing. Here's one of his darker tones called Fisherman at Sea. But again, we have the atmosphere and the moodiness of it. So it was just fun to get to know him first, a little bit about him first. And there's others that are mentioned. Okay, the next layer, there's many layers, but I'm going to talk just a little bit about the plot, which is probably easier to talk about, but I'm not as interested in at this point. It's a woman narrator called Penny, and she is an artist and is working at this old mansion. And a lot of the story goes on. It's going to waste and wrecking, and she's trying to save some of the old paintings and pictures, and it just builds up the atmosphere of that place wonderfully. And then there's a plot with actual characters. The owners, two men of her age, come and they get into this together, and there's a lot of stories and interaction. But the plot is not that unusual. I just wanted to, show the different layers. To me, the art's the wonderful part, the atmosphere of that. So I hope you get a chance to read it. I'm going to try to read some of the others. The other good thing is they're all available in the U.S. Well, all that are possible that I'll be talking about are available, and all the ones that were on Paul's picture on Instagram. So I'm going to get as many as I can and try to see if I can go through some of them. So I hope you get a chance to try some of them. And I already think this landscape might be one of the best. We'll see. Thanks. Bye.